Are we lame and boring now? We used to do like, remittances and the unbanked, underbanked.
Yeah.
And now we're just like, ETFs and sovereign wealth funds.
We still do that.
What, is that cool? Are we still the cool guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's, you can think about it just as providing access. So, you want people to be able to use Bitcoin, and so people are making efforts to make wallets and hardware wallets more usable, safer to use. He's sitting here from Anchorwatch, trying to make it harder to lose the money, or assure you if you do lose the Bitcoin. And I think, for some people, the ETF was a way for them to get access. I know somebody that was asking me every few years, is there a way to buy it for my broker? And finally there was, but that took a lot of years, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's just another way to get access. And of course, once people have got their access, they can start to learn more and hopefully set up a wallet and so on from there.
Yeah.
I think what Sean and I were more focused on, or what we're actually focused on, other than general questions on the panel earlier, was getting Bitcoin into pension funds, which are very conservative organizations. It took Sean a couple of years to get that done in a kind of roundabout way in the end to get it done. And now it's a different era, so probably we'll be able to get it in, get them into Bitcoin. Still a complicated process, but Sean has some interesting ideas that might do the trick, and he's been on both sides of it, right? As a fund manager, hedge fund manager, and then operating a pension fund at a different period in time, where the pension fund is trying to select a fund manager, and so. From that we know what they need to see to be able to place money into a fund. Yeah.
For a while there, I guess 17, 18, it seemed like the VCs were having an easier job selling to, endowments. Oh, yeah, definitely. Right? There was a real aversion or a allergy to the thought of owning the underlying asset. That's flipped. Right. Once you have the education and you're able to make, progress there, you kind of just, want the asset instead of the asset plus lots of, operating risk.
Right. And I think originally...
No offense to Anchorwatch or anybody else that's out there trying to raise for a company.
When you look at it, the way the capital structure would be, it was always seen as this is a tech play. So we want to be the picks and shovels. You can't make money on the underlying asset. Yeah. And that's just with Bitcoin, not the case. It's a monetary. Right. So it's totally... And I think anyone who's building on Bitcoin is just organically long Bitcoin because the success of their business is levered to the success of Bitcoin, plus the execution risk on top of that. But that's where the greater reward lies in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think if you go back, to that time period you're talking about, 2017, that's probably when about the very earliest days that you would have seen a pension fund or endowment looking at how can we participate in the space. And at that time, most pension funds and endowment funds and foundations will have a bucket for venture capital. And so that was already kind of a pre-approved bucket. Whereas if you were trying to bring in a new asset, it's a much different process for getting that approved. So I think that if you look at, Pump was actually really at the forefront of this stuff with Mark Yusko and Morgan Krieg. And they were really socializing this idea that, hey, you should be investing in the Bitcoin sector through startups. And that was probably actually the most efficient way at that time to get exposure for pension funds into the space, because their consultants understood venture capital, the boards understood venture capital, and so they could allocate into a venture capital fund that maybe had a very big focus on digital assets.
Yeah.
And to that point too, now you have, not only the ETFs, but you have a micro strategy. The marginal effort to just buy a publicly traded company in an endowment, a lot more straightforward. That's in the bucket of things they're already
very comfortable.
Very
comfortable, very easy. So I think this whole development of ETFs that we've seen is another kind of watershed moment within the ecosystem for kind of institutionalization, or kind of providing cover, let's say, for institutional investors to invest in the space, right? So it's a lot easier to go to your board and say, hey, BlackRock has launched a new ETF that invests in Bitcoin. Well, geez, we have $1 billion with BlackRock and the other funds. We know BlackRock's a good manager. They've been vetted. They've been approved. So it kind of opens that door. If we didn't have the ETFs, you would still be trying to sell, direct exposure. And that's a much more complicated thing to sell with the folks in the pension world. I think that's the next step. That's the natural progression. Eventually, why pay an ETF 20 basis points when you could be, owning it and cold storage in it for 0 basis points, or potentially putting that Bitcoin out to work and earning a little bit of a yield.
Yeah, another Coinbase account.
Well, so I mean, if you're a pension fund and you're buying BlackRock.